What's up, guys? It's another lovely, albeit slightly windy day here at the beach in San Diego, California. I want to talk to you guys today about 5 really important lessons that living in a van has taught me. These lessons that I've learned have genuinely shifted how I sort of see the world around me and experience life, so I just wanted to share them all with you guys here today. If you guys are new to the channel, my name's Dalton, and I built my van into a little beach cottage so I could spend less time working and more time focused on doing the things that bring me fulfillment. Things like surfing, fishing, spending time with my friends and family, and just overall being a little bit weird. Living in a van has taught me so many lessons that aren't necessarily exclusive to van life, but living in the van has really highlighted these sort of realizations, I guess. All right, I'm gonna stop teasing you guys and just jump right into lesson number one. So the first thing I learned, and this kind of is specific to van life, well, maybe not necessarily, but it's not all Instagram reels and YouTube videos. There's a way of sort of romanticizing things that we post online. People can post their day in a life as a janitor. I saw this girl making videos about being a janitor, and she made it look so cool and cinematic. I was like, God, I want to be a janitor. But the reality is that, you know, we put these things out there generally that look really nice and sound really nice, but just like living in a regular home, there's a lot of struggles that come with living in a van that aren't generally shown. Sort of like the inconvenience of not having a washer dryer. I know that there are apartments and such where you also don't have an in-unit washer and dryer, but that's a luxury that, coming from somebody who lived in a house for most of their life, I really took for granted. And I still go to my parents and I absolutely take advantage of their washer and dryer, but just having that like convenience of being able to do it in your home is totally something that I miss, and that is just one of a myriad of different sort of conveniences that go by the wayside that you sort of accept in exchange for the certain freedoms that living in a van may offer you. Every day I don't get to just sit here at the beach. I still have to work a job. I still have bills to pay. There have been times where the electrical system in the van just stops working and I go to turn the lights on and the battery's dead, and I'm like, what in the world? Only to find out that a wire has burned out or something. Or I wake up in the morning and the water tank has leaked all over my van and my entire van is flooded and there's a pile of water outside of the van even. And there's definitely these struggles that come with it. It's not all just wanderlust, adventure, explore the world and be happy. As nice as that would be, there are still these struggles that I have to encounter and that many others have to encounter, just like everyone who lives in a home. Number 2, time is an absolute luxury. It is one commodity in this world that we cannot buy more of. And you've probably seen the Instagram reels, or you've heard people talk before, maybe. That almost splashed me. I think the high tide's coming in actually here, and I'm about to get stranded. I'm about to get stranded on this rock here because there's one little way in over here, and the tide has now risen a good bit, and I've only been here for a couple of minutes, so by the time I'm done filming this, I may very well be stranded. If you guys see it on the news, remember this was for you. You guys have probably seen those videos though where someone's like, you 25 years from now would be willing to give up everything they had to be in the exact position you are today with your youth and maybe your health. And it's so true. You know, we get a limited amount of time in this world, and I've worked a couple full-time jobs in my life where I was working 40, or as an EMT I was working 40 plus hours. And between the commute, the 40 hours of work, I get an hour lunch break, but I'm still kind of stuck at work in that time. My entire days would be gone. 5 days a week would be essentially gone. And so I'm left with 2 days to kind of, spend on my hobbies or catch up with friends or whatever. And it just felt like my entire life was drifting by. Like I was wasting my time. I wasn't really getting to experience life. I wasn't doing things that I enjoy. I was just living to work. And it enables you to have more money to spend on maybe some nicer things, but what good are those nice things if you don't really have the time and freedom to use them? And I don't want to work 40 plus hours a week, 5 days a week, sacrifice all my days and all my hours so I can have weekends off and I can have a couple weeks of vacation a year and maybe a week of sick time. And I'm like, dude, right now I'm working a part-time job as a server, and it gives me enough money to pay all my bills. I'm building a very, very modest savings, nothing to blink twice at, or nothing to look twice at. And, you know, is my 401k super impressive? No, but I have all the time, I feel, right now to, again, just come out here and sit at the ocean and reflect. And I feel like the sort of mental, cognitive, emotional development that I'll get from having this free time and being able to pursue these things that I love in life is worth so much more and so much better of an investment than the money that I would have from working a few extra days per week. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be 70 years old and have no retirement and be like, God damn it, why did I spend all that time sitting at the beach and trying to do hikes and surf or whatever? I should have been building up a future, and now I'm going to be in this freaking ghetto retirement home and hate life. Maybe that's going to happen. I'm still trying to put some things into place to build a future for myself. Just like, I mean, this YouTube channel is one such example. We'll see. I don't know. I just, I don't want to look back at like 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old and be like, God, I really don't feel like I lived life. I missed out on a lot of things and I wish I had done it differently. I might still be saying that. I might still have regrets, but we'll see. All right, the third lesson, number 3. The third lesson I've learned from staying in a van is that you can't, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. You can't control everything, and that's okay. You know, I feel like you have to let go, just in life, not even necessarily specifically the van, but you just have to let go of a certain amount of control, and that can be really scary for those of us who really like to control everything. But with a van, there's so many things that are out of your control, and every day is different. It's never really consistent. You can kind of build some consistency in things here and there, like maybe visiting the same gym every day, but I park in pretty much a different spot every night. I generally wake up in the morning not even knowing what I'm gonna do for the day. I'm like, I'll just, what sounds fun right now, or I'll make it up as I go, unless I have work, in which case I know where I'm going. I'm going to work. We still have bills to pay. I don't get to live completely free and wild like all the kids might have you believe. It's fine. But yeah, just sort of surrendering yourself to the process and being prepared to be like water and go with the flow. I used to be super regimented, super routine, and my mom would always joke, she goes, Dalton hates having his routine messed with, which is true and fair. I feel like these days I'm a lot more flexible with it, and I owe that in large part to the experience in the van. It's kind of been like a muscle for me. I've built up that flexibility muscle, so to speak, that sort of flexible, adaptive mindset muscle. Another thing I want to touch on is being in this whole rat race to like make as much money as possible. I feel like, you know, moving into the van forces you to kind of focus on just the things that you really value. Like, I don't have all the room in my van to bring a bunch of BS with me. Like, I have to pick my favorite shirts, my favorite shoes, you know, my favorite hobby equipment, and pretty much leave all the rest behind. And I was already sort of like, I would consider myself a minimalist before moving into the van, but it just, it highlights that even more. I see a lot of people try to bring like their whole house with them into the van, and I'm like, that's cool, but you're kind of missing the point here, you know? The whole point is to live a little bit more simply, isn't it? Or maybe I'm wrong. That's one of the points, one of the many points for me though, so I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a baby. Since I don't have much storage space to collect things, I'm now putting a lot more of my spare money into experiences rather than things, and I feel like it's done a lot for my mental state. I'm happier chasing these experiences and doing these things and creating these memories, and now I've been dragging my cameras around everywhere to document the whole thing, and so in case my memory starts to get a little hazy, I can always look back on all those good times. So to each their own. If you like collecting the sort of like physical material things or whatever, that's cool too. Do what brings you joy, I think. Number 4, another life lesson that that van life has sort of reinforced for me is being okay with being alone. I've had my struggles with sort of feeling alone and lonely, and I feel like a lot of us do, maybe just me. When you're forced to do something over and over and over, you start to learn ways to deal with it, and you may even find yourself starting to embrace it. And that's what I've done. Make no mistake about it, I still have my struggles with some lonely days or lonely times, but I know this is something that people experience, and I even experienced when I was living in like a regular house, right? It's tough. It's tough sometimes feeling isolated in this world, and it can even feel more isolating when I'm out living in a van for a degree of reasons. Like when I go in there at night, I'm generally parked in like a suburb area, and I don't really want people to know I'm in there, so I don't even turn the lights on. More often than not, I'll just use my little cell phone light to light things up, and I almost feel kind of like I'm kind of hiding in a way. It feels a little bit reclusive, and that feeling can also add to the isolation. But you know, like I said a minute ago, with the freedom that sort of van life offers, I don't know what I'm going to be doing for the day or where I'm going to be going. It forces me, when I get really lonely, to go out and do something. So maybe I'll go work at the coffee shop where I'm just in proximity to people, or maybe I'll go to the gym. I've gone to the gym before and just sat on the floor stretching for like an hour just because I felt kind of lonely and wanted to be around people. It forces me to go hang out at the beach, you know, maybe instead of just sitting around laying in bed or something. It's easy to do that when you have a house. When my house is like 40 square feet of actual walking around room, it really makes me want to go outside and experience things. So I'm really fortunate for that, and I'm really glad for that, because it's kind of forced me to get out there and attack when those feelings of loneliness strike. On the other hand, it's also sort of forced me to spend more time alone than maybe I otherwise would. And with doing that, I've gotten a little bit more comfortable just being with myself. And I've found that when I'm productive and working towards a goal, I feel a lot less alone, maybe because my mind is occupied and I'm actively working on something. Perhaps maybe that's just a cover or some sort of mask to hide, quote unquote, from the loneliness, but I don't know, it's working for me so far. So we'll see. Maybe I'll keep it going. But yeah, just being with yourself. I know when COVID happened, there were a lot of people that were kind of forced to just sit with their thoughts for maybe the first time in their life. And I had friends get depressed from it. I know a lot of people had sort of mental health struggles with that. And so I think that's an important practice, to regularly just sit with yourself, be with your thoughts, think about who you are as a person, what you want out of life, or maybe just enjoy the quiet. I don't know, but I think it's practicing being alone and getting comfortable with being alone is an important thing for us in this world. All right, guys, and the fifth thing that living in a van has taught me, numero cinco, is that you don't have to have it all figured out. In fact, you know, I've entered my early 30s now, and as I've aged and gotten a little bit older, a little bit wiser, I've figured out that nobody has it all figured out. You look at the people with the big house and the families and the great job and this, that, and the other, and you talk to them, and they're like, I'm just making it up one day at a time. I don't know what I'm doing either. And I'm like, great, I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know what you're doing. Let's not know what we're doing together. You don't have to have it all figured out. I'm not saying van life is the answer to all your troubles. In fact, it's probably not. If you guys have a lot of problems in your life and then you go into a van, you'll probably also still have the problems. It's not a fix-all or a cure-all or whatever the expression is. But that's okay. It's okay to not have it figured out. It's okay to make it up one day at a time. I think that's kind of what everybody's just doing anyway, is sort of stumbling, making mistakes, and stumbling through life, and then you get to your grave one day and you're like, I hope it was like a cool stumble. Was it a fun one? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm hoping mine is, at least. But something else that kind of goes hand in hand with this, not having it all figured out, is waiting for the perfect time to do something. I always felt like I had to be ultra prepared, over prepared sometimes before I embarked on any great thing, and that led to a lot of me not doing shit because I was like, no, I'm not ready, I need to do this, I need to do that. And at some point you need to just jump, take that leap. It's not going to be perfect, you're not going to have it planned, and you just sort of have to figure it out. And that's exactly what I did with the van. You know, I came back from Hawaii. My friends and I were discussing moving to Hawaii, and I was like, if I don't get this van now, I'm probably never going to do it. I'm like, but am I ready? Am I ready to make that jump? I don't know. And I was just like, screw it. I bought a van, and I'm like, well, now I own a van, so I might as well build it out. And halfway through the build process, I was like, this is such a pain in the ass. I don't want to build it anymore. I don't want to do this. This sucks. Why did I do this? But I was now in debt and with a half-built van, and I'm like, well, I got to see it through to the end. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's done a lot of good for me. It's given me sort of the opportunity to make the world my home, you know, treat the van as the bedroom and the world as my home. And it's not perfect, and I don't know what I'm doing every day, and I'm making these things up as I go, and I have almost nothing figured out, and that's okay. That's all we can do, is try to figure it out and try to fumble our way to success or happiness. So whatever your own personal definition of success is, right? I guess that's kind of it. If I could just highlight one more thing, I think the most important thing that so many people in this world, maybe, I don't know if they see differently, but people live differently. But I just am so hyper-focused on my time. There's that expression that some people are so poor, all they have is money. And I just don't care. I just want all the time in the world to do what brings me joy, brings me fulfillment, brings me happiness. And maybe I'll just work a part-time job a couple days a week until I'm 60 years old, and everybody's going to think I'm a weirdo and a deadbeat and a loser or whatever. But I'm having fun doing it, and so until it stops being fun, I'm going to keep doing it. And that's it. So one more chance to reiterate, and I know I've said it 1,000 times, but just to clarify, these lessons aren't exclusive to van life. These lessons apply to any life, any kind of life, house life, car life, no home life, village life, city life, whatever. These lessons I feel like are wide-reaching and broad, and you guys can apply them to your own life, or you can tell me to go F myself. That's okay too. But I hope you guys go out there and do what makes you happy, because life is short, it's over in a blink, and you really don't want to waste it. So bye-bye guys, see you later.